You are now tuned into Reppin Sessions podcast. Exclusive interviews with White Oak Roughneck legends. Follow on Instagram and Facebook. Reppin the Roughnecks.
Episode 11, we got Mr. Allstate, number 9, Brandon Cook in the house. We are finally in Roy Brew's studio. I've got Mason with me today. Let's just hop into it, guys. Welcome, Brandon.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, man. So I kind of want to get into the beginning of your story. I know you came from Malakoff.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, I know you got roots in White Oak.
So I started school at Eustis. I went from kindergarten to third grade there. My mom was teaching there, was the reason I went to school there. My dad was coaching middle school football at Malakoff at the time. And so I guess around that time, third grade hit, my mom got a job at Malakoff, so that's whenever I went there.
I remember, you coming over here in 15 was your first football season here. Is that correct?
Yep.
How far did Malakoff go that year? Didn't they go 4 rounds? They beat Cameron.
They went 5 rounds.
Okay, so they went to the semis.
Yeah, they went to the semis and lost to Rockdale. Mineola beat Rockdale in the state championship that year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that they went far. I don't like Cameron, because if 2013, we should have beat them, I felt like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anytime I can see lose, I'm
yeah.
So Malakoff, I think it was like 56 to 50 something, barely beat in the quarterfinals.
I think it was in the second round.
The second round?
I know they lost to Cameron in the second round the previous year.
Don't take my word for it, but I think it was the quarterfinal round, the fourth round, where they it was like a big game from what I understand. 50-something to 50-something, barely beat them. But and then obviously your senior year here, we lost in the second round to Pottsboro.
Mm-hmm.
Do you regret moving here? I'm just playing.
That's fun. No, that's
I'm
really funny.
I'm a roughneck at heart. I wouldn't go anywhere else. But I just knowing that Malakoff went that far.
Yeah.
Obviously had a team with talent, Judd Miller and probably some others.
Uh-huh.
And we lost in the second round, but then they went, I guess, 5 rounds. It's like, man, I wonder if Brandon thinks he should have stayed at Malakoff. In my mind, I'm like, man, I bet Brandon's kind of upset, Malakoff went further.
So, obviously, like, even big picture, like, I met my fiance at White Oak, and so, even that right there, I'm so lucky to have moved here. But you're right, it is bittersweet.
Yeah, bittersweet. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because their weakest position at Malakoff was probably safety. They had an underclassman playing safety there. So I think I would have helped out for sure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade my time at White Oak for anything. I agree.
That's how
I built great relationships at White Oak. I built relationships with people that I call my brother to this day. So
I was sitting there thinking, it's like, man, Brandon's All-State at White Oak. It probably would have been All-State at
I know the Malakoff guys were probably, dang it.
Yeah.
That's funny that y'all
Brandon
bring
would have
that
been on the Malakoff team. You never know. They could have probably won state, And see, Malakoff still to this day hadn't won state, right? Yeah, they went
2 years later. They went to the state championship.
So did you move to White Oak the school year before the 15 season or that summer?
That summer.
Okay. So when you moved in, you started 2 days. How did the team take to you moving in, and how did y'all adapt to each other?
So like what we were talking about earlier, there was a all-state free safety that was playing there right before I got there, and his name was Jake Pullen.
Yeah.
And he was a bad dude.
Jake was good.
He was a heck of a football player. I had a lot of teammates that were really wanting me to fill in his shoes and to be. He had like 200 tackles in one season, so I had to. That's part of the reason why I came downhill so often, is because I had my teammates that are like, hey, Jake would have made that play. Now you go make that play. That kind of bothered me at first, but they were just trying to get the most out of me.
Man, my most memorable, I guess two memorable plays of you on offense, Spring Hill.
Oh.
Dude, I loved it when they did that little, I'm not a receiver, I don't know what routes
it was just a 5-yard hitch. Just a 5-yard hitch.
Took off.
Yeah, he did a little step and gone. I mean, how many yards was that? 60 or 70 you got on that one?
I think it mentioned 80.
My favorite was the Jefferson game where you did the in and then
yeah.
And I think you kind of dove for the catch. What route is that?
So we called it a trash can.
Okay.
I don't know for what reason, but you just run the slant all game, and then you give them that same move, give them that inside step, and that's whenever you just turn out.
Man, yeah, dude. It was like, I guess you played it with Hood, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Sumro, that was when Sumro threw the youth ball.
Yeah.
It was just like perfect. Everything about it was perfect. Sumro knew you were going to do it. You knew you were there, and I mean, it was awesome seeing that. Those were two of my favorite plays watching in those games.
That Spring Hill one that's probably the one that I'm most remembered for, just because we were losing at the time. We were losing like 0-7.
Yeah.
And so it was our first touchdown of the game. So that was kind of us like firing the first punch, like, hey, let's do this.
So how do you feel about the rivalry being canceled this year?
Man, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate just because it is such a storied thing. But the only thing that we can do as a team, since I'm on staff now as a coach, the only thing that we can do is play who's on our schedule now.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll the rivalry will
Oh
start
yeah,
back up.
I'm sure. It'll come back.
Man, it might even be more hyped up when it gets back going than it was when it stopped. So yeah,
Especially since it's tied. Next one takes the series lead.
Yeah,
And Spring Hill's never owned the series lead.
yeah.
We've tied it a couple of times, but they've never taken the lead on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad my class was able to etch a couple wins on that total.
First year in White Oak in 15, is there one game in 15 that sticks out? Like, what's your biggest memory from that first season when you came to White Oak?
It's definitely got to be second round against Pottsboro. Whenever we beat them, they were a highly ranked team.
Sunnyvale was ranked too.
Right, we lost to Mineola and we lost to Bullard.
Yeah.
So. And Mineola, they were ranked number 1 in the state at the time when we lost to them. So that was, and we barely lost to Bullard.
You played against Jeremiah Crawford.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure did. And Chance Perkins, but definitely beating Pottsboro. So do y'all remember? Were you at that game?
Yes, I was.
So Wyatt Smith snapped his leg like in the first quarter, second. We had to stop play for a long time. Right out of the long timeout, after he got carted off the field, we ran a hook and ladder play that went to the house. I can't remember. I think it was to Colby Sigley, and he pitched it back to Dax Davis. And Dax Davis ran it all the way to the house, and that was one of the loudest I've ever heard the fans.
Oh, wow.
So that was a pretty special moment.
Was that a Mueller play?
Oh yeah.
Watching Coach Mueller and all the plays and stuff, it was easy to get hyped up.
Oh yeah. He was a crazy dude.
Yeah.
He loved football.
Brandon was the first-year student athlete of the week winner in week 5. And I know you mentioned you met your fiance in White Oak.
Kyla Week.
She was week winner 1. Yeah, so that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Brandon's the first student athlete of the week winner we've had on the podcast too.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Very cool.
Dawson didn't win it?
He never won.
Huh.
He was a bad dude though. He was our best offensive lineman.
We had some good offensive line. I like watching him on defense at tackle.
Our defensive line that year was so good.
Yeah, I liked watching
Him and Jalen and Elijah.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I like
whenever our secondary was at its best, it's whenever our defensive line was applying pressure.
Oh, yeah.
So it starts up front.
Like Hood, you just don't rattle him. Yeah, I think the
Right.
more pressure you put on him, the
Uh-huh.
better he plays.
How can you rattle Heath Hood when we can't even get a hand on him?
I know.
Speaking of Hood,
You can't even hardly
speaking of
touch that
Hood,
guy.
how was it playing with Hood?
Oh man.
Yeah. What was your 40 time?
So my fastest 40 time I think was like a low 4.6,
Okay.
something like that.
What was Hood's? Do you remember?
I don't know what he was just it's sophomore. It was the off season after his junior year, or I can't even remember. I guess it was after his sophomore year.
Yeah, right.
And so it was my junior year. So I didn't get to see how fast he got, but
Well, was
And
he
we-
faster than you?
I think while I was in school, I just had a step on him.
Okay.
And not even in all races. In a 40, I think I could get him. In a 200, I think he got me. In a 400, I think I could get him.
Yeah.
But I think by the time he was a senior, he probably was faster than I was.
We would see that on the field. We're like,
Oh, he was special, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
But playing with that dude, you just have to be ready for anything. Like, you have to be ready to block on a pass play call. You got to be ready to do it. Like, if he's rolling out that way, you got to go across the field.
Yeah.
He might see you and launch it. So the first glimpse that I got from Heath Hood was during one of our scrimmages, and it was his sophomore year. And he was playing receiver against EF, and he was just making dudes look silly.
Yeah.
He was juking guys out. And then he got to go in at quarterback, and he was doing the same stuff that he had been that he would end up doing for the next 2 years. But you got to see it right there, and you're like, whoa. This dude, he's got some shape to him.
Still talk to Hood?
Yeah. Anytime he makes a top 10 Sports Center play, I try to reach out to him and be like, man, keep it up.
Did you play any football at college? Did you?
So I signed to go play at ETBU.
Okay.
I stuck with that for about 2 months. And why I stopped playing was probably just like a maturity thing. I wish I was the man that I am now whenever I was 18 years old. And another thing was I hated my position coach. Like, I would make good plays in practice, like swat down a ball on one of the better receivers on the team, and I even had an interception during a scrimmage. My position coach just never showed me any sort of love. And so that's part of the reason why I got into coaching, is because I want to have an impact on these kids' lives in a positive way. So I had a really bad coach, and so I want to be a good coach just to build these kids up.
So tell us, now that you're on the staff, what's your expectations this year? What do you think? I mean, tell us a little bit about.
I'm thinking playoffs for this group. We've got 21 seniors, so we've got a lot of leadership. We've got some dudes. We've got number 6, Noah Carter, free safety, wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's a dude.
Yeah, he's good. Noah's good.
He's probably one of our best pure athletes, pound for pound. And then another guy, Luke Baker, number 12. He's going to be playing inside backer for us, probably a little bit of receiver.
How big's the line going to be this year? Because that's kind of, we need some big boys.
So we got a Wheat on our team, and if you know anything about the Wheats, we got they're big. So we got Colin Wheat, and then Corbin Front. He's a tackle.
Yeah, that's right. He's a
leader
dude
on the team.
Yeah,
he's a leader.
Okay.
So,
anyone new on varsity to look out for that didn't get a lot of playing time last year, maybe, that's taken over a senior that graduated?
So obviously we just had Casey Sigley leave the door, who was a great player for us.
Yeah.
You want to talk about someone that competes.
He did.
But so we kind of had a question mark, hey, who's going to be our quarterback this year? But we were fortunate enough to have a guy that used to come to school at White Oak. We grew up with these guys. And he's coming back in from Longview.
Yep.
And his name is Landon.
Yeah.
He's a dude. He's got a pretty ball.
I'd like to see Dalton at running back, though, man, because it seemed like he's got some speed on him.
He's the fastest kid in the program.
Yeah.
One of the strongest, too.
Yeah.
So
Coach
I'm just
Lamar.
trying to get him fired up. You just have to. You just got a lot of fire under him.
I remember you were probably one of the more fired up players on the 16 team, weren't you? I know Trez to get fired up too. Pretty good.
Jalen Jeffrey, Caleb Antonio Castiglione.
Oh yeah.
Chase Reeves.
Yeah, Chase. Yeah, I seen him talk some trash to Springfield a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
After he graduated, he talked a little bit to him. I thought it was funny.
I love it.
So you're coaching linebackers. Is there anybody? I know we lost our 2 linebackers last year.
Sam Dusick,
Bisdell,
and he was good.
and Gavin Jones isn't playing this year, I've been told.
Right.
Who's going to be taking over linebacker duties this year?
So outside linebacker, we have a guy that's returning on varsity. He filled in for Bisdell whenever Bisdell got hurt, and his name is Grayson Thompson. He's a really good kid, strong, very coachable, disciplined. Right. So he's going to be one of our better ones. He's going to be a leader on the team for sure. Awesome. And then Jesse Pratt, who's going to be a senior. He's another one of our outside backers. And he was on varsity last year.
I remember the name.
I think he probably went in more special teams and stuff like that.
Isn't his dad coach?
His dad is a coach,
Yeah, his dad helps out the tunnel crew and stuff like that. So.
His dad actually works with Arthur Nakai, if y'all remember him.
Okay.
And he was our all-state kicker for the 2015 team.
I had a coach at White Oak that would, if you weren't doing right, he'd get right in there, no pads, and hit the kids with no pads, practice with them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be that type of coach, maybe?
Dude, I definitely feel like I'm the one that brings the energy.
Okay,
So I wouldn't put it past me to do that.
Yeah.
If there's a day that I feel like, hey, we need to be more physical, there may be a time where I have to. What's interesting is my dad was a middle school football coach. And so I've kind of gotten to see the game from a lot of different perspectives. I got to see it as a coach's son, as a water boy. I wrote for the newspaper last year.
Oh, okay. I remember
And so
that.
I've watched the game as a journalist. I've watched the game from a play-by-play perspective, like calling plays for Roughneck Radio. And now I'm going to be a coach.
Really? You were on Roughneck Radio?
Yep. I was on the inaugural class. I was a junior
with
the first year they did Roughneck Radio.
Yeah, with Mr. Higg.
Yes, he was one of my favorite teachers ever.
He's got the best radio voice I've heard around here. I mean, it's his.
Yeah.
They even did giveaways like most.
Yeah, they did no pizza to give. I won a pizza one time, but I never claimed it.
Yeah.
As far as the varsity team goes this year, are you going to be on the sidelines? Or are you going to be?
I do not know yet. I'm here to serve.
You excited?
Absolutely.
I bet you are,
jacked up. I think this team is good. And I think as soon as we come together as a unit, I think we have a lot of individuals right now.
Yeah.
But that stuff, once we come together during 2-a-days, so we're still going to be running spread offense. Our kids are familiar with that. I think it works good for the size of kids that we have. And we've got some speed and we have some arm talent. And we like to space things out. There is some things that we're not going to do the same. There's some things that we're going to add on. But we've got a good guy. His name is Kyle Adams. He seems like every time I see him, he's watching film. So
yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he studies the game. He's a student of the game. And so I think he's going to be a nice addition for us for sure.
Going into your senior year, what were your expectations that year?
We wanted to win a district championship. That was one of our main goals for sure, was to win a district championship. And then from then on, just have a deep run in the playoffs. And personally, I was third team All-State safety my junior year for some Writers Association. Yeah. But I really didn't have the season I went to my junior year, I guess, even though there were still some good things about it. But my senior year, I definitely want to be first team All-State. And my junior year, I didn't have a lot of offensive responsibilities. I probably scored like 5 or 6 touchdowns, something like that. But that was an element of my game that I really had to step up. I had to be one of the go-to receivers like Dax was. Right. But I also had help from Max Cooch, who was on the other side.
Yeah, Max was stuff.
He was a dude. We were too deep at every wide receiver position. We split the reps half and half. I'd go in, he'd go in. I'd split it half. Antonio Castiglione.
That was special watching that year with the depth we had, skill positions.
Yeah.
And then, obviously the line. I think, honestly, you need some big boys up front. You do need some big boys up front.
It all starts up there.
It was nice watching y'all play that year.
Yeah.
So take us to the 16 Jefferson game. You said that was you still have nightmares of that game.
Yeah, it was probably one of the worst days of my life.
And explain why. Like, what was it? Just losing the district championship game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Undefeated.
We had beat another top 10 team. Harmony was a top 10 team.
I think Hood had 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, that was the.
Did he have it?
He got fourth player of the game that game.
He threw for 4,
ran
for 3, and caught 1.
All of our trick plays, it was either called money 1, money 2, money 3. But that was one of our money plays.
Is that something Mueller cooked up?
Yeah.
Pottsboro was the biggest game, and see, with Hood not getting hurt, it would have put us playing Pottsboro in the third.
Right. I think the sky's the limit there. The sky's the limit with Heath there. I was planning on playing Malakoff in the state championship. Like, that was my dream. I wanted to play my old teammates.
That would have been great. That would have been.
There was actually a little bit of beef from someone that was in my class from Malakoff, and he was kind of like me. Moved to Malakoff late. We didn't grow up playing football together. But there was a moment in the season, White Oak was ranked in the top 10. Right. That was Malakoff. They were one of the best teams. And so, to my teammates, I put on Twitter, if rankings mattered, there wouldn't be playoffs. And, we were a top 10 ranked team. And so I was like, who cares about ranking? But that dude from Malakoff thought that I was saying it towards... He must have not realized that we were a ranked team, too.
Yeah.
And so he thought I was talking trash to them.
Yeah.
And he got pissed off at me. That kid, he was like, what are you doing talking crap about your own old teammates? I was like, I love my old teammates. I mean, I don't know about you. Like, you just kind of walked in there and hopped on the ride. But we could have gone further than what we did.
I definitely think so, too.
Who knows what happens if Heath is healthy, I think our 2016 team, we scored the second most points in the history of White Oak. Our defense was probably better the year before, the 2015 team. We just opened up the playbook in 2016. We were throwing the ball around. I think in the Sabine game, we didn't have a designed run the entire first half.
It sounds like you talk about, some mentors and stuff like that when you came here to White Oak, Dax Davis and some of the others helping you out.
Yeah.
What would be one thing that helped you?
Reppin Sessions podcast brought to you by Prospect. Prospect is dedicated to helping East Texas athletes achieve greatness. Contact Prospect, guys. Telling you right now, Joe's the man to go see. If you have any student in middle school, high school, heck, a Little Neck, man, get them with Joe. He's going to take them to the next level. Be ready for the big ball on Friday nights. Telling you, go see Joe. Let him know Reppin sent you. Contact Joe at 214-914-8524. And remember, tell him Reppin sent you. Prospect and Joe are proud supporters of Reppin Sessions podcast.
Be All-State. Did you work hard for it? Did you practice in the off season?
Right.
Did you lift weights?
Right. So
Stuff like that.
I didn't believe I was an All-State player. I was on JV as a sophomore, and so I come over to a new school, new defense, and I know free safety was kind of like the position at White Oak. I know Jake Pullen was an All-State safety, and so I was drawing comparisons to him. But my position coach, Tanner Teal, he came up to me one of the first days of practice. He's like, "You're going to be an All-State safety for us." I was like, "Dude, I was on JV last year. What are you talking about?" It's like, I'm not going to be an All-State player, but he believed in me before I ever believed in myself.
Okay, so coaching helped
Absolutely.
get
Tanner Teal had
helped
such
unlock-
an impact on my life.
so coaching helped unlock your potential as becoming an All-State
Absolutely.
safety. Barber says the kind of same thing. After I heard Barber's podcast, he credits underclassmen coaches, having a good overall program starts early and putting the work in.
At Malakoff, whenever I was on JV, we went 20-0.
Yeah.
So you could see you can see why they have a good
Yes.
varsity program, like going to state.
I understand, it starts at a young age, putting the work in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At Malakoff, those dudes, they eat, sleep, and breathe football. If you go to a varsity game at Malakoff, and I don't know, maybe the field's changed since I've been there. But while I was there, you would see about 50 kids on the side. There was a pretty big open field, and they're all over there playing football, playing touch football.
Yeah.
Those kids dream about
Heck yeah.
being on that field.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I would like to see from our youth at White Oak.
Yeah. Are you going to be coaching in any middle school?
So right now I am with a lot of middle schoolers that are coming to Power Program. I show a lot of attention to them. My fiance is actually about to get hired on staff too. It's not official yet.
Volleyball?
8th grade volleyball.
Let's go.
And she was an All-State player.
She was good.
She's been coaching pretty much since she's been in high
Is she
school.
going to do any club coaching too?
It's kind of one or the other. So she was asked a couple of weeks ago if she would do the club stuff.
Yeah.
But then something came up where it's like, hey, we need someone else to help with cheer. We need someone to help with volleyball. We need someone to help with basketball. And Kyle's like, I know all these things.
Before I went public, when your brother did the article with me on Reppin, I had a number of people ask if your dad was behind the page. I'm like, I don't know who Paul Cook is. They swore up and down, like, Paul Cook, you're Paul Cook, you're Paul Cook. I'm like, I don't know who Paul Cook is. I didn't know it was your dad at the time either.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the last podcast.
Why'd they think you were my dad?
I don't know. Just,
Yeah.
I guess because your brother was, I had posted your brother, and your brother was posting Reppin shirts.
Yeah.
And so I guess they thought maybe since nobody knew about it, that, that they were linking it together. So it was funny that, it just kind of, that his name was brought. Because, man, I heard the first 2 years I had, I probably got messaged 40 times. Who's behind? Who are you?
Yeah.
People would always try to guess who I was.
Yeah.
You think Paul's going to come to some of the games this year if you're in the press box or on the sidelines?
I'm sure he will. He's always been very supportive of me.
Heck
And he would come to a lot of the games whenever I was a senior.
I'm sure your mom will probably be around too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not as crazy about football.
Yeah.
She liked watching me play.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to ask you before we cut it out, Brandon. 22. I know you made a comment about Roy Bruce. I know you told me your grandpa's told you a little bit. Do you feel 22 should be retired in White Oak?
Absolutely. If there's anyone that needs to be retired in White Oak, it's him. And I don't think it should be limited to him either. I think Max McGee deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
But Roy Bruce is special just because it's kind of like what could have been.
and what he accomplished at White Oak.
And what he accomplished at White Oak and what it could have been, obviously. But yeah, Max McGee for what he did probably after he left White Oak. Now he had 3,000 in a season,
But then also they say Max McGee didn't have nothing to do with White Oak.
Okay, so I would say you would have to exemplify being a Roughneck.
And see, the quarterback on that team, he never lost a game. He said without Roy, White Oak would not have a 57 state title.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to your brother again. Did another article and put it in the paper. So
Shout out Gary Cook.
His brother did that.
Okay. Your brother just graduated.
He was a salutatorian,
So it was awesome, man.
Yeah,
so
he's
cool.
a little journalist.
Yeah, man.
That runs in my family.
Your mom's journalism teacher.
And then her dad was the sports editor at the Longview News Journal for a long time.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
John Inman. He works with George Whitley.
He called some of the games too at White Oak before Keith Coons did.
Yeah.
All right, man. Brandon, thank you so much, man. This has been fun. Reppin Session Podcast, episode 11. We are out.
Roll, Roughnecks, roll.